Boys, I learned something over the weekend.
Well, that's not very often.
Yeah, I know. Graduated from college, stopped learning, buddy. But I learned that I do not fucks with man-made structures and heights. Okay,
That's soft.
Yeah, dude, it's the softest shit you probably ever heard.
No, that's a sketchy thing though that they got going out there in St. Louis.
Yeah, so I went to St. Louis last weekend and thought it would be a cool thing to go visit the Arch. You know,
It is cool.
yeah, it was pretty cool. But have you ever been in the Arch?
I've not.
Griff, you ever been in the Arch?
No, I've never been to St. Louis, actually. I want to go.
You never been?
Chris Bryant said it's a boring city, though. So.
It is, and I can see why Brandon Phillips fought Yadier Molina over calling it the boring
Heard they have
city.
a lot of cool beers, though.
Well, it's the home of Budweiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a ton of breweries everywhere, though.
It's the home of Budweiser.
I didn't see a single brewery.
No?
No.
I heard there are a lot of breweries there.
Budweiser.
Yeah, like literally Anaheim.
Haven't you heard of the Clydesdales?
Yeah, they were actually at the game, trotting around the field.
Cool. I've seen them before. They were at a Reds game once.
Were they?
Yeah, I don't know. I was there.
That's weird.
Isn't that cool?
Anyway, time out. There's this guy standing in line, big St. Louis fan. He was saying that the owner of the Cardinals is actually a really big Reds fan. Grew up in Cincinnati and has like the St. Louis Cardinals headquarters is in Cincinnati.
Well, wish you'd quit fucking winning the Central.
Yeah, no, for real.
What an asshole.
Like, geez, like get a bad team every now and then. But anyways, back to the Arch. So it's like 630 feet, something like that. And so the part that sketched me out to begin with was there was a little museum underneath the Arch, and they were giving a history of how it was built. And so that bitch is only anchored 60 feet into the ground. Let me repeat, 60 feet into the ground on a riverbank, okay? Granted, it's surrounded by a lot of concrete, but still, that's not very deep. Anyways, I was watching a video about it as well, and Griff, since you're a safety guy, have you ever seen how it was built?
Like trenches? They like building stair-step trenches?
No.
What do they do? Explain it again. What did they do?
So the Arch, if you've ever been to the Arch, it is actually a triangle, okay? And so they build it a section at a time, and from the video I watched, it didn't really make sense, but apparently there was only like 13 people that built the Arch because, you know, once they had it made on the ground, they just hoisted it up.
Yeah.
And so think about the Arch as, you know, an arch. Well, they pretty much built a roller coaster on the outside of the Arch.
It's pretty cool.
And they put their cranes on it because, like, once they got too high to build it from the ground, and so their cranes would just ride up this roller coaster as they built.
Safe.
And none of the guys were harnessed to anything once they were in the air.
Well, to be fair, do you know when this was built?
In 63, I think is when it started, 1963.
So OSHA wasn't around until 1973.
Okay,
so there was definitely very, very little regulations on worker safety.
And so once they got to a certain point, so the Arch is just leaning into each other. Like, that's how...
It's called a keystone.
Yeah. So before they put the keystone in there, they had to raise up a jack to jack the Arch out because once they got to like the curvature of it, it started leaning in on each other. So there's these two cranes, and I have a picture of it. We can put it on the story, the Gridiron Garage pod story. But anyways, the cranes are chilling at the top of this, and there's the jack, and then they're hoisting the keystone up to it. But anyways, the point that I'm getting at this is like it was supposed to be a engineer, you know, phenomenon. Like it was supposed to be like the next big thing. And so to get up to the top, there's obviously stairs, but for, you know, people who want to just go visit the Arch, they made it's like
It's elevators, I thought.
it's like an elevator and a concept. So essentially,
So I thought it went like this.
Yes.
yeah.
So
So
it like stands straight up, it just like moves like laterally when it gets higher up.
no. So the way that it works is you're in this little ass pod from metal that looks like, you know, a 1960s prison, and it's just painted. And so you're sitting in it. And so the idea of it was like, like they want it to be like a Ferris wheel, but they're like, well, once you get to the curvature of it, you're just going to fall over. And so you're going up this thing, and it's like super sketchy, and like you can kind of feel it shaking. And then like you start like going with the curve, and then it stops, and then there's a chain, and then it just like jerks you back, and then you keep going, and
That's
like
sketchy.
you keep going, and then once you're like at a certain angle, it's like just jerks you back.
So it does this.
Yeah, it like keeps like leveling out once you go to certain points.
That's
and so I was freaking out in the first
Gotta
place.
be old.
And then so we get to the top, dude, and like ultimate bitch move. I grabbed onto a wall and I didn't move. I was like, fuck this, dude. I'm not moving at all.
Damn.
I looked over. I sent you guys the picture of the stadium, and I stood there.
Have you ever been to Chicago with the Sears Tower and looked down through the glass?
No.
Would you do it?
I wouldn't stand on the glass.
CN Tower has it in Toronto since you're going there.
Yeah.
Or is that Toronto? No, Niagara Falls. It's close.
I don't know. I'm going to Niagara Falls. But
if you ever get a chance to go to Chicago, just go up to the Sears Tower, go look over the glass.
We were going to do it one time, but it was too
I think it's cool.
too cloudy. When
Dude, I was like 10 years old and I climbed down the glass and look, Mom, I'm falling.
Dude, there's just something about me. As the older I get, I don't like shit like that. And like once you're up there, dude, it's kind of like bouncing and like swaying and stuff.
The holy trinity for Zach's scares: heights, fish, and stats.
Yeah. I'm not scared of heights though. That's the thing.
We'll take him to Kings Island, see how he handles those.
Heights, fish, and stats.
But that's the thing is I'm not scared of the height. I was scared of being in that structure and it like bouncing and like moving and swaying and shit.
That's what the Sears Towers like. You can feel it swaying when you're up there. Yeah. They're high. They build like skyscrapers.
I'm offended that you weren't impressed that I knew what a keystone was.
I was kind of impressed. Well, it was like so natural. It came off your tongue. I was like, oh yeah, like he knows what it is. He's got it.
I'm sure a lot of people know what it is.
Yeah. But other than that, like, to be honest, if you're not a baseball fan, don't go to St. Louis. I mean, but yeah, that's all I got.
Weird architectural thing too, but the Golden Gate Bridge, I'm sure you guys probably heard this, but it takes a whole year to paint it. Have you seen that?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
The Ben Sprints.
Fair enough.
You want to explain that one to me, Griffin?
So apparently the Golden Gate Bridge takes
when did that go under painting?
The Golden Gate Bridge takes a whole year to paint.
After that fire.
Like it's got to be approaching half a year right now.
But it says it's gonna take 8 months. But so apparently the Golden Gate Bridge is like year-round contractors that paint the bridge. So they get done painting it and they go back to the start and start painting it again.
And they just keep painting
because it starts to not like the paint starts fading and they repaint it. Supposedly, that's what I've heard. I heard that when I was in San Francisco. I don't know if that's true or not.
There's also a lot of people that go to check out the Big Orange Bridge.
Yeah,
it is pretty. I've been there.
Yeah,
you been there?
Golden Gate Bridge is orange. I thought it was red.
I guess it's like a reddish. It's like a bronzish reddish.
It?
Like it's more red than it is orange, but it's like a fiery red.
I'd agree with you. Red.
Yeah.
Is it red?
Yeah, I'd say so.
The only reason I know is from like Full House. They would always pan out to it.
So
everywhere.
This weekend we went and stole Alyssa's brother and we babysat him. He's 8 years old, and I have one.
It's a weird
I need
sentence.
to write some shit down that he says, but I have a couple things. Shit kids say.
Kids are hilarious
because he freaking cracks me up, dude. He says the craziest stuff. But he had this bike on my bike rack, and he keeps talking about it. He's like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna like customize the bike myself. I'm gonna get some spray paint. I'm like, all right, yeah. And he's like, and I need to take the Monster sticker off. It's like, you don't like Monster?
Like the energy drink Monster?
Yeah, it's a Monster sticker on it. And he looks at me, he's like, it's an energy drink. And I look back at him and was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm not old enough to drink those. I fucking lost it, dude. It's like, well, how old do you need to be? He's like, I don't know. He's like, well, I don't know either.
I don't know. I can't count that high.
It's like beer. You got to be over 21. Drink energy drinks.
He looked at me like I was stupid. He's like, I'm a kid.
Had you questioning, maybe he's not old enough to drink those. Maybe he's onto something.
That's funny.
Well, Zach can't drink them.
Yeah, I can.
I thought you like drank too many when you were a kid and got sick from it.
So the story is that in 7th grade, I drank a Red Bull every day in 7th grade. Okay. And so one day I drank 2 Red Bulls in one day. And then I decided that I wanted to go jump on the trampoline. On top of that, being a very obese kid, my blood sugar shot up to, or blood pressure, like super high, like 200 over something, to where I probably should have been dead. And so I didn't drink them for the longest time. But now these veins fucking love the caffeine. I will inject that shit straight into it.
Oh, also, he plays this game. Griffin would like this game. But it drives me freaking nuts. And he'll go, hey, guess what?
What?
Ah, you said what?
That's hilarious. I love that.
Drives me nuts. Every time he fucking gets me, I'm like, God dang it.
I'm gonna try next time I see him, I'm trying to go, hey, guess what? He's gonna be like, what? I'm like, never mind. I'm gonna get him with one of those and see me.
You gotta say you said what?
Does he have a cell phone?
No.
No.
He doesn't have a cell phone. He's 8.
I know. But I mean, you never know nowadays. But I was gonna say you should call him and be like, hey, can you hold on a second?
Yeah. He would say on the phone a while too.
He would too.
He would say on the phone like,
dude, I got my sister.
He's got an
one time.
iPad. Maybe we can FaceTime.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I got my sister for probably no lie, like 15 minutes. I was like, hey, can you hold on a second? And then I put it on mute, and then I just set my phone aside.
That's the Dodgers clubhouse doing
funny.
that?
No, that's pretty hilarious, though.
Yeah, the Dodgers did that.
That's so funny how that started, though, literally on accident, and Jake thought I was pranking him, and I wasn't. And I was like, that is a good idea for a prank. You're like, it is, let's try it. I literally told him to hold on because I was ordering a McDonald's drive-thru when he answered.
Yeah, you called me. I'm like, you don't fucking call me and tell me to hang on. That's not how this works, Griffin.
Should we call a pizza company live on the pod? Tell them to hold on a second.
They'd probably stay on forever.
You think so?
I don't know.
I think this dude be like, fuck this guy, I'm hanging up.
Who'd we get the longest? Was it Garrett? You can send us a picture of Garrett.
Jackson stayed on forever.
I thought it was Garrett that did.
Not this Jackson. Other Jackson.
I thought it was Garrett.
He said he was in the car and just like
Maybe
was
that's what it was.
listening to the radio or something. He was on for like
that's what
35 minutes.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, man. Classic.
Is that all the shit kids
Oh
say?
no!
You got?
Also, yeah, that's all the shit. I need to write him down because he says so much more funny shit, and I just cannot remember it now. But we went to GameWorks, and they have a freaking. You ever done a VR headset, like an actual, like the games?
Like the Oculus stuff?
No, never
Yeah,
mind. I have not.
no.
I have not. I heard they're super cool.
How do you say that?
Oculus.
Oculus.
Oculus Rift.
So they had one of those Oculus things, and it was a dumb game, but it was freaking awesome. And I played it, and you literally just have two lightsabers, and it's like Guitar Hero. Like
you're slashing.
these boxes
I've seen
fly
that.
at you, and you just slice them with those lightsabers.
Damn.
And this is the coolest shit, dude. I put this headset on, I was just looking around, like just standing in the middle of GameWorks, looking like a freaking idiot. And I'm like, just slashing these boxes, going ham.
Griff, I need to tell you something about GameWorks. So our senior trip, Jake and I's, was between Kings Island
And GameWorks.
or
You told me this.
GameWorks.
And they chose GameWorks.
Yeah,
That's pretty lame.
that is so lame.
Yeah, we were like, why would you want to go to GameWorks when you could go to Kings Island, guys? Come on. What?
It's an island fit for kings.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
That was probably when Diamondback was like pretty new too and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was
So,
like,
Well, they got a new
these
ride
knees-
up there.
I want to ride it. Oh, Ryan. Let's
So
go.
at
I haven't rode.
17,
I don't even know what's in the shed yet.
Yeah. Mystic
Oh,
Timbers.
yeah,
What's
I
in
don't
the
know.
shed?
What's in the shed?
What's in the shed?
I don't know.
You can't wait till you find out what's in the shed.
Sorry for interrupting you.
so at 17, 18 years old, we had a student body government, like they voted on GameWorks or
Yeah.
Kings Island.
Yeah.
And that is the first taste that 17, 18-year-old had at trying to overthrow the government because we were fucking pissed. We were like signing petitions. We were boycotting it. We were going to the principal, but we ended up at GameWorks.
True.
Yeah. So that shows that the people have no power.
Yeah, that was definitely like they gave us an option in quotation marks.
Option.
Like an
Apparently we
option.
fucking voted on it, but I was like, where was the ballot at? Because I didn't vote on shit.
Stop the count.
There's no way,
Stop the
dude.
count.
There's no way that people voted GameWorks over
No,
Kings
not at all.
Island. Not a chance.
Ugh.
Not a
Anyways,
chance.
I'm still pissed about that 10 years later, dude. All right, guys. You guys want to get into some debate questions?
Yeah, this seems pretty interesting.
I thought it was kind of
I
interesting.
cheated.
so-
I kind of looked at him.
I haven't looked at
didn't,
any of them.
No, dude, I didn't read your outline till today because I'm a lazy sack of dog poop.
Yeah.
And I looked at them.
He also
before.
texted it.
You just went so PC right there.
I like read through the
He also
outline. I was like,
texted us.
don't read the Instagram. And I was like,
He also texted us and said, "Don't read it."
oh, did he?
Yeah, I didn't read them. I'm going in blind.
You're
Sorry.
cool. You're cool.
I read
So-
it, but I'll try to have a.
I know one of
unbiased
them actually. I
opinion.
know one of them because my new roommate let it slip and said, "Why is this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's probably one of Zach's questions."
Yeah. So we're going to try get the listeners, you guys interacted with the pod. So just want to say, if you guys are listening right now, stop, screenshot, tag Gridiron Garage Pod in your Instagram or Twitter. We'll retweet it. There might be a prize. I don't know. But if you guys want to try
Probably
it.
not.
Yeah.
Do we have results right there? Do you have them?
Yeah, I got the results. So I posted this Sunday night, gave it probably 23 hours and 59 minutes before they expired. So these are most up to date, but we're going to get into some debate questions. Posted this on the podcast Instagram page on the poll, and you guys, listeners, voted. So first question. Are humans the most dangerous animal on the planet?
No doubt.
No doubt.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to see what we say, and then we're going to relate to what the listeners say to see,
Most dangerous.
I would say what animal kills the most animals? It's got to be humans kill the most animals by billions.
I think-
billions.
I think you get real philosophical in this. I think it's just the easy answer is yes.
Yes.
I think if you want to look at just straight up like pound for pound 101, obviously not humans, but as far as like impact, humans for sure. I'd say yes.
Well, humans
are.
humans kill billions and billions of animals to eat, to do whatever.
No, I agree.
To use for handbags or whatever. We
just-
also probably killed the most humans.
Yeah.
On top of that,
I think it can be a little subjective. So when say like, oh, well, if someone thinks about it, oh, which one's going to win a 1-on-1, you're not going to pick a human. But if you're picking like just the most dangerous, I'd say humans for sure. Yeah.
And do you think that it's like most dangerous as in killing people and also
I'm
like
saying
polluting the earth and like all that kind of shit?
I'm saying the most dangerous creature to like life, right? And I think it's probably humans.
no doubt.
I think they probably try and help the most too, but I think they're probably the most dangerous.
Humans have the most likely ability to end our existence here on Earth.
I would say so.
Like as
would say
us
so.
living in Kentucky, are you more likely to die from wildlife or at the hands of a human? Whether that be a gun, a weapon, a car, you're probably more likely to die from a human.
Well, with construction around here, definitely going to get rear-ended.
So what the poll say, Zach?
So the listeners voted 87% of listeners say yes, humans are the most dangerous animals. 13% say no.
So I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. That's how this game went.
I think the people that said no probably thinking of it as like a one-on-one situation, like who's going to win a fight. You know what I mean? Or just like if you're just looking at a creature and it's like, how can that thing fuck me up? Right? I think they're looking at like lions and stuff. But I think just pound for pound, humans.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they're the most dangerous. So the second question, and I was a little surprised with the results on this, but what is better, tap water or bottled water?
So this is the one I saw. And I think I have a weird response for this. So
Okay.
bottled water. I prefer bottled water. I would rather drink bottled water than tap water, but I'm a cheap bastard who never buys bottled water, so I always drink out of the tap or out of the fridge. So I never buy bottled water.
Well,
But
if
I had the choice, I would drink bottled water all
If
day.
you would change your filter in your fridge, it would be essentially bottled water.
Yeah, but it's not. 'Cause I haven't changed my filter. You missed the part where I said I'm a cheap bastard.
Yeah, I know. I definitely heard that part.
You missed that part.
But so you're essentially just drinking tap water out of your fridge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is because I'm a cheap bastard, I don't drink
got
bottled
you, I
water.
got
But
you.
I'd prefer bottled water.
Okay. What do you think?
I would also drink bottled water. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I have no problem with drinking tap. It's fine. It's just not as good.
So the reason why I put this up is because I was watching a documentary. I want to say it was with Zac Efron, and he kind of goes around the world and gets cultured.
Yeah,
I've
seen it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, but he went to a what was the guy's title? It was like a bottled water connoisseur or some shit like that. Like he literally specified
Salmonier or something like that.
Yeah, he had like it was like a
So
specific name.
That they
Is it like one of those people that taste wine?
yeah. So
and
they
tell you what wine it
they
is?
call them like
Yeah, it's
salmoniers
dry.
or some.
yeah,
It has
but
a woodsy taste.
yeah,
to it,
like
and they
literally
make up
just
words.
a bottle or water like expert, I guess you'd call him. And so this is where the question came to mind is like, apparently these type of bottled waters, like I'm pulling up just like a Kroger water, is essentially like 90-80% tap water. And then they filter it to like make it a little bit better. But he was saying
But they
that
also have plastic, right? The
yeah,
plastic's
and that's
not
what I was
good.
going to say.
Sommelier.
A sommelier.
Sommelier or something.
Yeah. But like the green bottles
It
are
says what
supposed to
type
be,
of plastic, right? Can you look?
I'm sure you could
Carry
on
on.
the website. But like the green bottles are supposed to be the best because they let the least amount of light in, I believe. And so like the least amount of bacteria gets into them and stuff like that.
Makes
But
sense.
It's right there. It's hard to see. That's a plastic 1. There's a little recycle logo,
yeah.
and then there's a number in there. I think it's 1 through 7.
Mm-hmm.
And
is one like the thinnest?
I don't know
think
what
so.
they mean, but there's definitely like if you look at people
Different types of
that
plastic.
care, which I don't really care, but if you look, there's a lot of people out there that do care, and some are like better rated for your health.
What do you think about this?
I don't think 1 is the good one for your health, to be honest.
So real
with you.
quick, while we're on water first, I gotta ruffle some feathers here because all you Louisville people that listen that were swearing on their life that Louisville tap water was different. It's better. You don't need bottled water. Louisville tap water is the best water that like God squirted out of his orifices ever. Right? They're just talking about how Louisville tap water. I had it, and you know what it tasted like?
Tap water.
It tasted like freaking tap water. I was literally, they go, isn't it great? And I was like, it tastes like water. So you could put some ice in here and it'd be cold water. Or you could let it sit out in the sun and be warm water. But guess what? It still tastes like water.
So I'm going to ruffle some more feathers. Maybe that's why Louisville people are so weird.
Drink tap water. Something in the water, man. Something in the water.
Must be.
I will say there's some nostalgia effect of being super hot and sweaty, like way back in the day, and drinking out of the hose.
The hose.
So like
That
if
nice
you can get
iron taste.
yeah, if you can get like a tap water that has that hosey taste, it's
Yeah.
like It doesn't taste good,
Yeah.
but it gives you like a little nostalgia back to your childhood. You're
I
like,
do
covers
want
you
to.
back.
I do want to say one of our friends who's a Louisville person who I think it's his water that's making him weird, but he has a theory on tap water that Somerset, Kentucky tap water is tainted and it makes people have a weakened immune system. So he said everyone he knows from Somerset gets sick all the time.
Well,
They're
that's
just always
false
sick.
because they use that same water in bourbon
No, I'm just letting you know. This was his theory.
because it comes from the limestone.
This was his theory, but he's also from Louisville who drinks Louisville tap water, who claims that it's the greatest water that God ever created,
So he's weird.
even though it tastes like water.
Will you just text me his name just so I know who you're talking about?
It's Ludwig.
I figured that's who it was, but I didn't know.
You heard me, Ludwig.
Yeah.
So we
I had
all
the water in
agree
your
with the
house tastes the
viewers there,
same.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
So 75% say bottled water, 25% say tap.
Probably all the Louisville people said tap water.
So far, and I'm definitely not going to call this person out, but the person who's voted in the minority, I every time he votes on the polls, I think he's just trolling. So
Text me who it is.
I'll tell you who it is.
who
Yeah,
that
you know exactly who it is. But so the next one is hold on, before I say this, Jake and I, we both went to the same high school, and I know that we both love, eating school food, and I thought that was really good. Griff, I don't know about you, but I would assume, you're just
I eat school food all the time.
yeah, you're a pretty basic palate guy, so
Yeah,
I would
I'll
assume
eat
you like
anything.
it. But
Throw it on a plate and fry it up. It's good.
is school food considered junk food?
Junk food?
And so far, this has been one of the closest ones. And I would go out on a limb and say, essentially, yes, it is junk food because unless you're eating recycled sweet potato fries from 3 weeks ago,
Thanks, Obama.
that are just
Thanks, Obama.
recycled or re-deep
Thanks,
fried.
Michelle.
I think that they try to make healthy options, especially more once you get to high school because you have like the sub line, the taco line, the like meal of the day line, and then you got like the hamburgers and fry line. But in elementary school, unless it's changed, you literally ate whatever they put on your plate,
Yeah.
and that was potatoes.
I think that this one can be a
deep
little
fried chicken
subjective
nuggets.
only because I'm going to say no, it's not junk food. But
Okay.
some people probably say junk food is food that's not good for you. Whereas I can see that, and I'm going to say yes, I don't really care, right? But I think junk food, when I think of junk food, I think of like things I would
Candy
eat.
bars.
Oreos, cookies.
things that I would eat on a 12-hour binge of Modern Warfare 2 in middle school, right? I'm just sitting there playing, throwing Doritos in my mouth, munching on candy bars and Kit Kats, eating the little mini cats out of the big bag and eating the whole bag and yelling, "Mom, more Hot Pockets." I think of junk food like that. That's what I think of junk food, right? I don't ever consider like a lunch, like an actual lunch, like a chicken sandwich or something like that. I could see pizza being considered junk food too, right? I can throw that in there because they have pizza pretty much every day. But eating like a chicken sandwich with like fries and stuff like that, I don't consider that junk food.
Did
So
your high school
that
have
wouldn't-
like ice cream, cookies, pizza?
They had cookies. They had pizza. I don't remember ice cream.
We had ice
Maybe
cream.
They had little like mini things, the single servings. Actually, they didn't
And,
have those.
like
They cost
milk,
extra.
like chocolate milk. I mean, that's great, but is it really good for you as like?
No, I agree. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's not junk food. Because again, when I think of junk food, if I'm saying like, oh, I want to go eat some junk food, I'm not eating like a meal. I'm sitting on the couch watching Netflix for 10 hours, just munching on some like Doritos or
Yeah,
something.
junk food's definitely subjective.
I think it's a little
There's
subjective.
probably a better question is a chicken sandwich junk food?
I used to get chicken sandwiches
The
so
way
much
that they cook it, I would say, yeah, it's just
So-
a deep fried patty.
Is it fried like in oil?
Well,
I don't know.
originally it is. They're probably frozen. They're probably fried when
Yeah.
they're manufactured.
Fried,
When
yeah,
they,
frozen.
like they're
Flash
fully cooked.
fried.
Yeah, they're fully cooked when they freeze them. They deep freeze them.
Yeah.
or they flash freeze them. Sorry, and then they.
So I would answer this question no, but I would say that most people did order and eat junk food.
Yeah.
But they do always offer healthy options.
Yeah.
And it might be at a small quantity
I think it
because
depends on what you grab. You're
because right, the people don't grab the healthy food. So it's like you can make it, but no one's going to eat it. So then like eventually it just gets like fed out of the system. 'Cause
Recycled.
why keep
I
making
would
this food
say
that no one's eating?
I would say it's not junk food, but it can be. It depends
Yeah.
on what you grab, right?
Okay.
But again, I think it just depends on.
And then especially once
it's
you get to
subjective.
college, like there's whatever you want. There was
Yeah.
junk food. There was super healthy food.
Yeah.
There's whatever you wanted to eat in
I
college.
think it's subjective, just whatever you think junk food is.
I don't remember the middle school, elementary school meals too well.
You
Similar,
went to Camp
high
Ernst,
school.
right?
I did go to Camp Ernst.
There-
I can like, picture the lunchroom, but I can't remember what we ate.
Our middle school was essentially the same as the high school with like the food options that we got. I know you guys both. Or did you go to the same elementary school?
I went to
No,
Burlington.
No, no,
I
no.
went
Okay.
to North Point, baby.
At
Oh yeah, we
at
should
my
dominate
elementary
in
school,
basketball.
you pretty much like everybody got the same thing. Like you could
Yeah,
get
I
like
don't remember that.
chips and cookies as like an add-on, but everybody got the same thing. So I would go on the other side, and with the listeners, 60% say yes, school lunches are junk food, and I would agree with them. But I think you guys make a good argument of, what do you consider junk food?
Yeah.
Like if I was going to eat
subjective.
healthy, I wouldn't really think like I'm going to go to my high school and eat what I ate in high school because that's definitely not healthy.
But again, that's the difference though, because I think there's foods that aren't healthy that aren't junk food.
Good as fuck
You know what I
though.
mean? Like there's
Would
some
you go
things-
to like a really nice like fried chicken restaurant and be like, "This is junk food"?
Yeah,
like,
it's,
I don't
it's
know.
all subjective.
It's not
The
healthy
way-
for
the
you.
way I
That's
look
for
at
sure.
it,
But like
So I-
Chick-fil-A's fast food,
but-
right?
Chick-fil-A's fast food.
But you can
Chick-fil-A's
get
fast
grilled
food.
chicken there.
But
So.
that's what I'm saying. Is I don't think you can just say just because it's unhealthy, it's junk food, right? Because Jake, your white chicken chili you make. Imagine if you made the real white chicken chili. That's not good for you, right?
No.
But it's definitely not junk food.
I wouldn't call it junk
Yeah,
food.
I know. Right. So I think you can definitely get junk food. Like they had bags of chips there and things like that. You get cookies, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely
cool.
just how you view the.
Yeah.
I feel like the phrase junk food.
Right.
Definitely most of the options they're not healthy options.
I agree.
What else we got?
So, in that one, 60% said yes, 40% said no, that school lunches are junk food. So the next one, and there was only one person that voted no, and it wasn't the guy who trolls everything, but I definitely think that he's a troller. Is life easier when you're good looking?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that was like hands down. That dude should have changed his vote.
Sounds like someone who's ugly.
So
Do
90.
you think when you answer a poll like that, and like by just like the percentages that you were the one?
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
I know. I'm
Change
wondering
my
if
vote.
I wonder if he clicked. Was like,
Oh
fuck.
shit.
The only one.
6% for me. Oh no.
So
I don't know how much easier.
yes.
It's probably easier. I mean, I'd say to get a job, people treat you nicer. I don't know, to get laid, definitely easier. By far, by like any means, way farther
Yeah.
to get
I mean,
laid.
you could be
to find a mate.
a 10 out of 10 at a bar, somebody's going to hit on you.
Yeah, you could just literally not even say a word.
Yeah.
You could probably get laid.
Right.
What else do you think's easier as a good looking person? Like, I'd say like to get a job, that's like, I don't know if that's a fact, but it seems like it.
Are you talking like an office job or like a bartender?
You're just a job.
Like
yeah.
if you're an ugly bartender.
There's
or
ugly
versus-
bartenders out
I know,
there,
but
it'd
like,
probably be easier if you're better looking.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like you probably get tipped more.
If
Like
you're in an office job, you just get more attention. I mean, people like, I think there's scientific studies out there that people think smarter people or prettier people are smarter or something. Like, or they get listened to more often and stuff like that. Like,
Which is
there's
not
probably a
true.
lot of studies
Which is
out
not
there.
true because I'm one of the dumbest people I know, but I'm also one of the best looking people I know. So.
Right? Right?
I agree. I think life's easier when you're good looking. That would be interesting to see, like, if somebody in the back, like, it would have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a non-direct decision. There's a word for that. You know what it is? Anyways.
Unconscious bias.
Yeah,
It's
subconscious.
subconsciously biased.
Like
towards
if you
something.
were hiring somebody and it was the three of us and they were like, all right, which one was the best looking? Like, I want that person to work for me because I have to look at them 40 hours a week. You know, like obviously they're not like coming out to
Thinking
say that, but like in the back of their head, they're like, oh,
Well, it would
she was.
they would make a better impression. Even if like everyone said the same thing. If one person was better looking, they'd probably make a better impression.
Right, right. So, story about this, and when I was, I want to say it was a sophomore in college, I had to take a anthropology class, and we were learning about how cultures like deviate from other cultures. And so, essentially, the professor, and ballsy move by this professor, stood everybody up in the class. And you know how college is, like nobody knows anybody, nobody talks unless you're like in the same frat or sorority or whatever. But it was a community college, so there was no frats, no sororities, nobody's hanging out in the hallways like chilling, drinking a beer or whatever. So she was like, all right, everybody stand up. We're going outside. So we stand up. We're all outside. And so her first instruction was, line up, male and female, line up, tallest to shortest. And then I think it was something dumb like shoe size or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, so male and females all standing there. And so she said, circle up and pick the top 3 best looking people from each gender. And so,
Jesus.
So the male circled up and the female circled up. And so we come back and we're like, her, him.
Oh my god.
And so I was like, holy shit. And then then she was like, all right, now from this, like those 3 people need to circle up, and then they need to pick like out of the 3, like which one is the better looking from each sex, and on and on. And so ballsy move in college, but I just want to say your boy was the best looking male out of the class.
Oh, check that out.
Didn't want to tell the story.
He's also the only one there to tell the story, so he could just straight up be lying to us.
No, but I do want to say, like, obviously I want to throw that out there, but that is a ballsy move on a professor. Be like, you guys need to stand up. It was how like humans interact with each other.
There was no lesson.
It was actually
she's just having fun. I'll make these motherfuckers do some funny shit.
Just dumbasses.
No, I will say like the lesson behind it was really cool because like we're saying, like if you hire somebody, if you have 2 people who are equally qualified, like in the back of your mind, you're like, I kind of want the better looking person to work for me because, you know, X, Y, and Z. But that's like how she was saying is like the best looking male and female in the class, like they're probably going to get better grades. They're probably going to get better test scores. And then taking that into the real world, like probably going to get better jobs, like probably going to have better group of friends and stuff like that. So it was really cool to like actually see firsthand a small sample size of a bunch of college kids like ranking people in their class that they're going to have to see next Thursday. But so 97% said yes, 3% said no, that life is easier when you're good looking.
All right, so any more?
Yeah, we got one more. Okay. Last one. So is social media is not farthering the human race. Do you agree or disagree with this?
I'm in the middle, and I think actually on that poll, I voted agree it's not, right? So agrees it's not.
Yeah, so like you agree that social media is not farthering.
Okay, in the poll, I actually voted agree, and I want to change it to disagree, but I'm somewhere in the middle. I mean, there's definitely really good things that have come from social media, as in network connections,
like a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, like people, like people making connections with each other. Mostly probably the biggest one. But I mean, there's groups, people find like hobbies, they find things they really enjoy from social media. There's a ton of negatives that come from it as well.
Most definitely.
So I don't know. I couldn't like just classify it as a good or evil. I'd say there's definitely some good that comes out of it. So I think my answer that it's not farthering the human race is probably wrong. But are the cons so big that it's like tearing it down?
Yeah. I think this is a loaded question. So my opinion, I'm somewhere in the middle too, but I lean more towards that it is furthering the human race. And here's my reasoning. So scientifically speaking, I think it is. Just in general, just any type of technology that we can further advance, I think
right, but
gets further.
This isn't Google, right?
No,
this isn't having the internet in your pocket. No, because then I'll definitely say yes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I know, but I think anything that we can like do from a technology standpoint just gets more advanced, furthers the human race in that aspect. I also think if you look at like depression rates since social media was invented, since before, I don't have the statistics, but I guarantee it's way higher, right? Since before social media was a thing, right? You know, just in general, from what some people or behind the screen will say online, right? I think it definitely affects humans negatively in that way, right? From like how they like their feelings feel afterwards, from like the things they can see online about them or about certain things like that. So I think it's give and take. I think it probably is. I think just in general, like any sort of technological advancement or any sort of like thing that, you know, can help people meet, help people like, you know, get themselves out there more, I think does in the long run. I think the positives outweigh the negatives, but I think there's a lot of negatives. I don't think it's like a landslide. I think it's pretty close. So that's a loaded question.
I know it is, and I thought it was pretty deep. So I would agree with the majority that social media is not furthering the human race, because I know this is a very small sample size, but out of the 3 of us, how often do you use social media to connect with somebody or to, I guess, do research? I guess if you would say that you can do that on social media. Like you're on Twitter to look at people talking shit
memes.
About, you know,
that's why I look at Twitter, look at memes.
You're on Instagram.
And I also laugh at people reporting news on Twitter too. That's like, so like, doesn't matter which side of the spectrum they're on politically. No matter which side they're on, if they're on, they'll always swing it towards their side and laugh at it. And that's the other thing too.
And so like the point is like the 3 of us definitely use social media to aimlessly just waste time. And I don't think that like, obviously we're not Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Like we're not out here trying to, you know, change the world, but could we? Yes. I mean, those were just 2 normal people who had incredible time and talent. So I don't think that social media, I don't know why it was created, I guess to help people connect with people, which I guess that's good. Yeah. But I don't think that it's definitely like,
think about,
and especially with bullying, I think that like people can be bullied way easier on social media.
So like the general population probably doesn't benefit from it. But what you got to think about is all the startup companies that have started via Facebook. Think about, I mean, this is just an example that we personally know is the Alani Nu.
Yeah.
Where are they without social media? They're nowhere.
That's true.
They're nowhere at all. Yeah. Think about how many companies like that have started and blown up and benefited the world because they've blown up like that. Probably a ton.
But would that be benefiting like Katie Hearn, or would that be benefiting her 1.8 million followers? Like, you see what I mean?
How many companies like blow up like that benefits everyone?
So one thing too, when people get super famous on social media, that can affect people in different ways. Because there's definitely people that look at, you know, social media stars, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter, famous Twitter people, Instagram models, right? All these famous people, Twitch streamers, YouTubers, all these people like that. There's like a younger generation that watches that, and they grow up like idolizing these people, and they like watching their content because it makes them feel better, makes them feel happier. And I'd say that's something that's good, right? If you're watching something, what's the reason that you pay attention to something? Probably because you like it or it makes you feel better, right? If you hate something or you don't think it helps you out at all, you don't like it, you're probably not going to watch it. So I think from that aspect, there's people that, you know, it's helping them in their general lives just to be happier in general because they're watching this content they like to watch, right? Versus there's also the opposite. There's people that will go on the internet and they'll see them, like you said, bully them or something like that, which brings it down. That's why I think it's a little bit of give and take. Mm-hmm. I'm still leaning towards the yes, it is advancing, but I don't think it's like a landslide.
So how I would say about the company, so let's use Alani Nu again. So Alani Nu blows up, like get super popular, they start making drinks. So they contract out to an aluminum company. So they make the aluminum company more money. Okay. The aluminum company or the drinks, they contract out to an alcohol company. So now someone's supplying them alcohol. They're spreading money, they're spreading wealth elsewhere other than their little circle.
So essentially small like capitalism, creating jobs, stuff like that. Is that what you're
so I think that's how that it can indirectly like benefit and grow the planet.
Yeah.
Then your mom and pop shop that you want to support, right? They're selling whatever drink it may be. They buy it aftermarket, they sell it for twice the price and they make money off it.
Dude, and like that was my biggest argument was with COVID, how mom and pop shops are like, oh, we can't stay, you know, active or relevant in today's world. I was like, dude, Facebook's free, Instagram lives are free. Like, you could have definitely created some type of revenue from that.
I agree in some instances, and some I don't. I think it's subjective to what
the business.
Yeah, what the business is.
Yeah, I can see that too.
What do you think a business would, like a bad business model?
Movie theaters.
Yeah, but how many mom and pop
sell popcorn? Like, hey, stop in and get your popcorn.
I'm talking like mom and pop shops. Like, how many mom and pop movie theaters? Like, drive-ins definitely benefited when Bert Kreischer came. It was like, because remember he did that stand-up thing where everybody was in their car, but he was at like a drive-in movie theater.
Yeah, but the comedy club did not.
Yeah, that's true.
Because no one was allowed to go to the comedy clubs. Pro sports probably didn't do too hot.
They still got advertising.
Yeah,
they still probably did fine.
MLB's still rich though. The owners are still rich.
They're still rich.
Don't want to pay anyone.
But it probably hurt them. Like there's a lot of industries that they probably adapted, but it's not the same. I know you said gym memberships. That's a hard sell to have people to continue to pay you money.
Definitely hurt bars.
And you
like
let
even
them
like locally owned bars. I think
loan out equipment. Like there's ways they could still do it, but it's just not the same.
I know it's not the same, but like to just give up. That was my point. Like I don't know. As an entrepreneur, you find solutions to problems, and fitness or Facebook Live, like easy, everybody comes and does a class. I know that I go to LA Fitness, like they even have classes like on your phone that you like.
You into fitness?
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you, never mind. I'll tell you it off air. But I don't know. I think that social media, like I agree with you, Jake. It can be used for the good, but I feel like the common people use it for
entertainment.
Like aimlessly doing nothing, or for bullying people, or talking shit on Twitter, or some dumb shit. So, but yeah.
All I know is Zach's most used social media is definitely GroupMe.
Definitely probably and fake news. We didn't hit on fake news, but that's got to be
fake
a con,
news.
Right?
Oh, that's definitely a con.
It's got to be a con.
That's what I was talking about. Like, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. No matter what you say, you always make it sound your way.
The QAnon, the Antifa, crazy. Like it's just there's a lot of stuff out there that you don't need to be reading, and that people read all the time. They go straight Looney Tune on you. You're like, what happened to that person? You're like, oh, they got into the QAnon. They're Looney Tune now. You're like, they're Looney Tune. They're like, yep.
Yeah, they're in the LeBron's new movie. One of the Monstars.
Hey, Griff.
Just Looney Tunes.
That's who the Monstars are. It's all the QAnon people.
Looking at my screen time report from last week, I will have you know that GroupMe was only used 5 minutes of my total screen time.
You're a fast typer then, because I've seen you type some books that take you longer than 5 minutes.
He copies and pastes them in
I'm
there.
just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I got them all just ready. Instagram was my farthest. Messages, Safari, YouTube.
I don't even want to look at mine. Twitter's going to be way too high.
Yeah.
It's going to make me depressed.
40,
There you go.
47 minutes.
There you go. I don't want to look at mine.
Hey.
You got the stamina. All right.
Oh, man.
Carry on.
That was it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that was some good
That was
questions.
a fun segment.
Yeah, so
Send us some
if
more
you guys
questions.
like that, we'll definitely do more. I enjoyed them. I think
Send
that
us
we
some
need,
more questions.
we need to figure
I
out
love
how
that.
to
I like
get
getting the
FAQs.
listeners involved like
Yeah.
that. That's
We do
fun.
FAQs. Frequently asked
yeah.
questions.
But
Yeah, and-
moral of the story, you guys are freaking wrong.
Right.
And we have
I'm
a
always
podcast
right.
that we're right.
Yeah, right.
That's
That's
Make your
essential.
own fucking
Dude,
podcast.
Yeah, your voice doesn't get heard.
Yeah, unless you have a podcast, I don't fucking hear from you. All right, fuck off. But anyways,
Oh my gosh.
I did post. I want to say this that we wanted some listener questions. So anytime you all see that box up there, it could be anything like what's Jake's favorite color. We don't care.
Yeah, give
Throw
us
it
some
out there.
FAQs. We'll throw
Yeah.
it out there.
But
Be nice though.
we're gonna
You're not
move on.
bettering the
Yeah.
human race if you're not nice.
Yeah. Like if you have a group me with your friends, like don't be trashing them. I mean,
Well,
everybody has.
if they have
feelings.
bad takes though, right? If they're just wrong takes all the time, then I understand that.
I mean, most of the time they're right.
Hey,
Anyway.
he got shot with the DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, I did.
that's true.
And nobody has ever come out and been like, you know what, Zach, you were right.
I said you're right. I said you're right today.
Anyways, not too hurt about it, but a little bit. We're gonna move on to something that we've been hitting on pretty frequently, and I feel like I like it. But it's the Gridiron Garage Big Daddy Griff's conspiracy phenomenon. Is that what we're gonna call it?
It's a
Yeah,
conspiracy
we can call it
phenomenon.
we haven't got our own theme music now.
Phenomenon makes me think of
Got our own theme
aliens.
music.
And Zach don't like when I talk about aliens.
We're gonna get copyrighted.
Yeah, it was only for like 5 seconds. We're good.
You don't know that.
Oh yeah, we're
You
good.
try to get us taken off the fucking YouTube one time.
So, we got another conspiracy. This one's a doozy. That's all I'll say. It's pretty much a doozy. This is, I think, well, no, I guess not. I think because the JFK one was similar, but it's got a definitive from the court saying like these are who the culprits are. But there's a lot of contest between who people think the real culprits are and things like that. So that's what we'll go over. But if you guys have heard of it, it was, it's been famous for a while about how it happened. But it's the collar bomb heist. Have you guys ever heard that story?
I have not.
So
Strap in.
it's the collar bomb heist. As always, if you guys have questions, let me know. I'll go over all the suspects to it, and let me know if you think it's a combination of the suspects. Let me know if you think it's only certain ones, whatever you think. Have any questions at all? As always, ask your boy, and I'll tell you based off what I read. So
comfy here.
this is a really cool one. So it's not cool for the guy, but it's cool to read into. But August 28th, 2003, there's a man named Brian Wells who worked for Mamma Mia Pizza.
Mamma mia.
Mamma Mia Pizza. So he's a delivery driver for Mamma Mia Pizza. They got a call for a delivery. The owner, Tony, typical,
Tony.
Yeah, typical guy who owns a pizza shop. Hey,
Tony,
Hey, Tony.
Mamma mia pizza.
I'm Tony from Mamma Mia Pizza. So Mia Pizza. All right, so he gets a call for a delivery. It's in the middle of the lunch rush. It was actually somewhat close to Brian's shift ending because I guess he comes in early, help make the pizzas, and he delivers them. But he was getting close to his last shift. He's like, I'll take the last delivery for you, right? And so they couldn't understand the guy when he was telling them the address. So then they put Brian on the phone. Brian got it, wrote it down. They went to the address then, right? So he drives to an address off a place called Peach Street. By the way, this is taking place in Erie, Pennsylvania, is where this takes place at, right? So he drives to the takes 2 large pizzas, I think 1 pepperoni, 1 cheese, and he drives off. Now, fast forward 2 hours, right? Brian Wells, the guy who's driving it, is on live television, handcuffed with a collar bomb around his neck after robbing a bank or trying to rob a bank for over $250,000.
I've watched the Netflix
Have
documentary
you watched
on
this?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you do know about
Yeah,
this. So you know
yeah,
some of
yeah.
the details. So don't ruin anything yet.
right,
I'm
well.
not sure Jake knows about it. Maybe not. Okay. So he's on live television. This is and they're broadcasting it live. And he attempted to rob PNC Bank of about $250,000. Police are baffled. They're keeping their distance because this guy says he's a collar bomb around his neck, and he's kind of freaking out, right, as he would be. As a collar bomb around his neck in the middle of a parking lot, right? So Wells is claiming that a group of black men jumped him at the delivery location, and they strapped the bomb to him, and they gave him directions to, quote, earn his freedom, right? And so he was trying to follow the directions, and this is how far he got. He was quoted as saying, "Why is it that nobody's trying to get this thing off me? I don't have a lot of time. It's going to go off. I'm not lying. Did you call my boss?" So still in the face of death, this man is dedicated to his job. Right? He's like, "Did you let my boss know I'm sorry I'm late? Like, I'm stuck with a collar bomb around my neck,
It'd be the last thing I'll be worried about."
So he originally left for the delivery around 1 o'clock, right? It's about 3:18 p.m. now, so a little over 2 hours afterwards, the bomb detonates, blows up, and kills him, right in the middle of a parking lot and outside of an eyeglass store, which is where he was going towards his next step when he was apprehended by authorities. So kind of bad justice here, a little bit of sick justice. 2 minutes later, the bomb squad arrived, like right after the bomb blew up, so that kind of sucks. But police found the instructions he was talking about. They were in his car. They were set up like a scavenger hunt, right? Do this, then go to this point, get your next clue, then get your next clue, then your next clue, and then you can earn your freedom. Basically, they'll give you instructions how to disarm the bomb, how to escape, and everything like that. So the police were trying to follow the instructions. One thing they noticed, they used a lot of the words like "we" and "us," suggesting multiple people, which would have somewhat corroborated what he said, that he was jumped by multiple black dudes, is what he said. They also thought it was weird that a collar bomb was used, because not the only place, but the most commonly used collar bombs were in the Colombian drug cartel. That's where they were usually used for hostages or for sending messages. So they thought it was weird in the middle of Erie, Pennsylvania, someone built a collar bomb.
I was just thinking about they call the bomb squad in Erie, Pennsylvania. They're like digging it out of the basement somewhere. They're like, "Where's the bomb suit?"
Yeah, they had to have came.
I think it's in that box up there.
So they had to have come. Because I looked a little bit into it. Not every single small town has a bomb squad. They came from a bigger city.
Like Buffalo, probably the closest.
Buffalo. How far is Philly from there? I don't know.
Oh, that's like across the state.
Yeah, so I don't know. Erie's close to the lake, so.
Anyways, I was just thinking about that.
But basically, they had to come from a bigger city. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was not one of the most common places for a collar bomb, that's for sure. So
it's right between Cleveland and Buffalo.
Okay, there you go. So you're right. So the big question is, what happened in between the 2 hours that he left to harmlessly deliver a pizza, so he ends up 2 hours later on live television with a collar bomb strapped up, blowing himself up, right? So here's some of the stuff on Brian Wells, right? Just some a little bit of backstory on him. So he lived alone, 46 years old. He lived alone with 3 cats. This was in his description. That's what I put on here. But he was 5'3", balding, 46-year-old man, lives with 3 cats. So apparently, the landlord says he was a model tenant, probably the best tenant she'd ever had. She had him for multiple years as a tenant. Said he was the type of guy that took his hubcaps off of his car because they were too flashy for him. Right? He's like, "This is too flashy. I'm not dealing with these hubcaps." Right? Said he wouldn't be the type of guy typically wouldn't harm a fly. Right? He would the person that you would see helping an old lady across the street, even if it meant that he was running late for work and he had to run faster to get to work on time. Right? Speaking of work, 10 years of employment at Mamma Mia Pizza. So he's a dedicated worker, like I said. Was only late one time his entire 10-year career to work. And the one time was when his cat died. And he called in and said, "Hey, I'm going to be a little late today. My cat died." Still showed up to work. So that's a dedicated worker right there, I'd say, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, only late one time. So during the investigation, when they went to the location of the address, supposedly the pizza was dropped off, they found tire and footprints that matched his car that he drove and matched his shoes that he was wearing at the time that he would have made the delivery. On-site delivery was weird, though, because the address didn't take him to a house. It took him off an old beaten dirt path to an old radio cell phone tower thing. Yeah. So it was like an old abandoned radio cell phone tower is where the delivery was. There was no sign that he'd been they couldn't figure out how he was lured to get the bomb on, right? There was no sign of a struggle. There was no sign of any fighting. He didn't have any scratches on or anything like they were fighting him or anything like that. He wasn't bound beforehand or anything. So they thought it was really weird that he went there to this pizza place and he said these guys jumped him, right?
Yeah, but couldn't they just gun to your head?
You're right. They could, for sure. They 100% put a gun to him and say, "Hey, put the collar on."
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just verifying that's a possibility.
100%. So about 20 minutes,
probably the best possibility.
Roughly. So at about 20 minutes, roughly, they think after he was at the place here, at about 2:20 p.m., he showed up to the PNC Bank, right, wearing the collar bomb, wearing a T-shirt that had the word "guess" written across it.
Like a watch.
Yeah, but not the brand. Just someone wrote "guess."
Oh, guess. Guess what?
Guess who? Guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just the word "guess." They wrote on a white T-shirt and black writing said word "guess." He was wearing that T-shirt, which he was not wearing beforehand, and his relatives said he did not own a shirt like that, right? So it's a "guess" on it in big letters, and what from one eyewitness said looked like to be a shoebox protruding from underneath his shirt, right? He also entered in with a weapon that was given to him per the instructions on that the people gave to him, which was a shotgun that was, quote, poorly disguised as a cane. So supposedly one of the eyewitnesses that saw it basically said the first thing he noticed was the shotgun, not with all the collar bomb, because it was so obvious it was a shotgun he was carrying and acting like it was a cane. And I guess it was literally, they tried to make it look like a cane, but it was very obviously a shotgun, like a single pump shotgun or something like that. So the letters that said, here's the quote, what it says. It said, "Do not spook anyone or the tellers," is what it said on there. My thought is that if you're walking in with a collar bomb on your neck, something that looks like a shoebox sticking out of your shirt that says "guess" across it, and a very obvious shotgun as a cane, don't spook anyone in the bank, right?
They definitely pressed the silent alarm.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, the when he went up to the tellers, he gave them a note. That we slipped them a note that was basically, and he talked real quietly, asked for $250,000 and get everyone who has the codes to the vault in the back. We're going to get this money out, right? Mm-hmm. And they yelled Audrey, which is the silent code, like, "Oh, hey, Audrey," right? That's the code for robbery that they have there at their bank at the time, right?
Spoiler alert, don't rob that bank.
So everyone, what they said is, what they told him on the thing was, if anyone's not cooperating, use the weapon to keep them in check, right? People inside the bank. Well, what an eyewitness said, everyone in the bank just left. We walked right past him as he didn't have a care in the world. What was the quote here? So eyewitness said he seemed so calm. It was like he didn't care on a Tuesday afternoon stroll in the park. Like that's how he just didn't care about anyone there. He was just like in there to, hey, give him my money, right? That's all I'm trying to get it. So everyone in the bank left. The vault couldn't be opened at the time. He only made out with about $9,000 in cash just from the registers. Is all he could get because they said the vault literally couldn't be opened. He was like, all right. So he left an envelope with his driver's license inside, which is what the note told him to do. Leave an envelope for the police with your driver's license, leave it at the counter, and tell them, give it to the police when they show up. So here's, I think, is the best part, is he took his $9,000 in cash, put it in the shoebox, walked out, grabs a dum-dum off the counter, puts it in his mouth, and walks out like nothing happened. Yeah, isn't that sweet? He literally just like, this guy is no fucks given at this point. So, which we'll get into a little bit later about why I think and stuff like that. But literally, puts the money away, leaves his driver's license, puts a dum-dum in his mouth. Hopefully it's the mystery flavored one, and then walked out and got into his car and drove to the next stop. So he had to go to McDonald's next. They said meet at the McDonald's sign. The one says open 24 hours / drive-through. Under a rock will be your next note. And that's where he was headed, was that direction. On the way there, they basically detained him. Pretty obvious. He robs a bank looking like that, and he's not exactly like a criminal mastermind, I don't think. He got caught by the cops pretty quickly, right? And so then after that, we're back at the events where he was sitting outside waiting for the bomb squad. He blows up and he dies. So now we're all caught up. That's the whole story on like what happened that day as far as like his story, him robbing, things like that, right? So after the investigation, with a couple of things they said was that it seemed like he never really stood a chance. A couple of things, I'll give a little more detail on this later, but the amount of time that was allotted to when the collar bomb blew up to when he first left for the bank was only roughly about an hour, a little over an hour. And they theorized that doing all these steps in order would take about 3 to 4 hours, right? If they were to follow all these steps. The police followed the steps a little bit too, and at some point it stopped, right? They went to a place where there was supposed to be another note, and there was nothing there. So one of the theories is that he was being watched because they said in the letter that they had sentries that were watching him, monitoring his mood to make sure he didn't go to the police, make sure he didn't veer off the beaten path, doing what they followed. They said they could just start the timer or detonate via a cell phone call and just blow him up whenever they wanted to, right? So one of the theories behind that is that once they saw the police go into all these steps, they went 3 steps ahead and just started hiding all the stuff so they couldn't figure out the ending, right? That's one of the other theories. But we'll get into a little more about that later. So now we're going to get into some of the other suspects who may have been culprits to this, right? So the first one's a guy named William A. Rothstein. And eventually I'll connect all these suspects together, and you'll tell me if you think it's a BS connection or a good connection, right? So William A. Rothstein is about a roughly 60-year-old man. He was a hoarder who lived alone. He was an engineer, and he was supposedly very smart, really good with mechanics and type of mechanical engineering and making things, right? Less than a month after the incident, after the bombing accident, right? He called police completely unrelated to his address, which was roughly a 5-minute walk from the pizza delivery spot. His house was 5 minutes from where that cell tower was. A walk, not a drive, a walk. And he said he called the police and said, "Hey, there's a dead frozen body. I know where it's at." And they said, "Where?" He said, "In my freezer." He said, "There's a dead body in my freezer." And like, shit. I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm storing it for a friend."
A friend.
So he's storing it for a friend who's the next suspect.
This is the guy I thought did it.
So this is a girl.
Well, the person who had the dead body?
Oh, okay, yeah. So Marjorie Deal Armstrong is the girl he was storing it for. So Marjorie Deal Armstrong was the the girlfriend of a guy named James Rodan, who was the dead body, right? And the guy claims that she shot him in the chest with a shotgun on August 13th, which is about 6 weeks before he reported it, also about a week and a half before the collar bombing, right? And that she asked him to store it for him, to hide it from the police. Now, they had been engaged twice. Rothstein and Armstrong had been engaged twice. They're currently not engaged. She's dating this guy. She shoots him with a shotgun. He says, I'll take care of it. I'll hide it for you, right? The only reason that he started feeling guilty is because she called him roughly around that time and said, hey, you know that body we have stored? We need to get rid of that. You should totally put it in an ice chipper. Just get rid of it. And then she's like, she crossed the line, right? I'm not throwing this body in an ice chipper. Storing the body was fine. Helping her commit, hide a murder, right? Hide a murder, right? That's fine. But just put it in the ice chipper, that's too far. You know what I mean? So basically, I know, morals. It's moral compass is unfathomable. So, but he said he was feeling guilty. He said he'd testify against her. He felt guilty and even contemplated suicide. So they found the suicide note that he wrote up. And this is where we start to kind of get the links in place. Obviously, he's pretty close to where the supposed mugging happened by those black dudes, right? By the way, none of these suspects are black guys. We'll get into that a little bit later. But he started his suicide note off with the words, "This has nothing to do with the Brian Wells case," which is pretty weird to say that if this murder has nothing to do with the collar bombing prank. Remember, this guy was confirmed to be killed about a week and a half before the collar bombing thing. I said prank. I meant heist, not collar bombing prank. Collar bombing heist. Pretty weird thing to just start your suicide note off with that when you had no connection to the thing whatsoever, other than that you lived kind of close, right? So there was no indication that the two cases were connected, but now the police started to look a little bit into it, right? And so the Shell station nearby was where the delivery call was made. That's where the payphone outside of the Shell station was made for the delivery. Now they started looking into security tapes, started looking into and questioning people, and the people at the Shell station say, oh yeah, Mr. Rothstein comes here all the time. He'll come in, he'll grab breakfast, grab a newspaper, sit out in his car and just read the paper and stuff like that. He uses the payphone a lot. I'm not sure why. He has a cell phone, right? So then they started getting their wheels turned, right? This guy's using the same payphone that was confirmed to have made that call for the pizza, which is also another maybe 10-minute walk and only a 2-minute drive from where he lives and also where the cell tower's at, right? So a little bit of connections there, right? So one thing else, the bomb people investigated, the bomb was made using professional tools, which Rothstein had access to in his own house. Remember, he's a mechanical engineer, very smart dude, definitely knows his way around this stuff. And they said the bomb was professionally made. It wasn't just some guy who looked up a DIY on YouTube and figured out how to make a collar bomb, right? This is someone who knew what they were doing. It had professional cuts, very level, very clean cuts. It was done really well. It used some type of locking mechanism that was really, sophisticated. It not only had key locks, but it also had combination padlocks, and then it also had some type of electrical lock on it too that had to be basically disarmed. So it had a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Sophisticated features to it, right? That now he's automatically a suspect for this case, right? The police entered Armstrong's home, the woman's home who murdered the guy, and they said it was quite literally littered with trash and dog feces. Was what her house was. So first, I want to know why this dude's in love with this chick, right? He's hiding bodies for her, engaged to her twice. I guess he's a hoarder too, though, so maybe hoarders love hoarders, right? Because she hasn't even grossed her house, supposedly. So a little bit of backstory on Marjorie now, right? So she had already killed before. So she confirmed had killed one of her ex-boyfriends in self-defense. She said that it was domestic abuse, and she killed him in self-defense, and she got off that one. So she confirmed killed one person. Now she's being tried for killing another one, and it's pretty obvious that she did it, that she's going to end up getting convicted for this. So she had 2 other husbands as well. One husband committed suicide and hung himself, and the other husband tripped and hit his head on the coffee table and died. Yeah.
It's a rough way to go out.
She's had 4 significant others die, right? 2 husbands, 2 ex-boyfriends. A little sketchy there, in my opinion.
Has she ever been
the other 2
interviewed for murder?
Yeah, but she didn't get in trouble for those. Okay. So the first one was self-defense, the hanging was a suicide, and the other one was an accident. So they ruled out. And now this one, she's getting tried for murder for people saying that she shot him with a shotgun shell and while he's sleeping in the bed. That's how her current ex-boyfriend died. She was also described by multiple people that knew her that grew up with her. Also, teachers, and she had a professor in college. She never finished college, it said, but she dropped out. But apparently she's pretty smart, high IQ. But he said that could also be her biggest downfall. His quote was that she was as cunning as any person you'd meet, and she always felt like she could get away with whatever it was. No matter how ridiculous, she always knew that I'm smarter than you. I can get out of this. I don't have to worry about it, which in the end is the reason that he thinks this is his lady's downfall, is that no matter what scheme she hatches, that she's going to be able to get out of it. I'm too smart to get in trouble. You know what I mean? I've gotten out of murdering the first husband, gotten out of murdering the second one and the third one possibly, right? If those other 2 ones are murders. But that's probably what's in her head. So I'm batting 1,000 right now. Like I cannot be touched. You know, that's what she's thinking in her head. So this will bring us to the third suspect, Kenneth Barnes, right? So this is the third person that ended up being involved. And it was a little bit of a link to get them all linked together. But this is what the police said, all right, this is what links all 3 of them together with the fourth person, Brian, who was the one that they put the collar bomb on him and blew him up, right? This is how they met this dude. So Kenneth Barnes, a former TV repairman turned crack dealer. So big career change in his life somewhere down the line. But he was named by a sex worker named Jessica Hoopsicht, who claimed that she had knowledge on the bombing because she said that she used to buy crack from Kenneth, and he would talk about it. He was talking about the collar bombing prank after it happened. Prank. I keep saying prank. Collar bombing incident, the bombing, right? Gotcha. But he was like talking about how he's involved in the case. So when they started, looking into it and talking to her, she said that she also was in a relationship with Brian Wells, the guy who had the collar bomb on his neck, and said they'd, quote, turned tricks in Kenneth Barnes' house while she was doing drugs and he went to go meet her. So basically, this is going to connect Brian Wells, the collar bomb guy, to this other dude, the crack dealer at his house, right? So now let me connect them together. So Barnes, who was also friends with, surprise, Marjorie Armstrong, the lady who's possibly killed all her husbands, right? They would frequently go fishing together 3 to 4 times a week, and they were also seen the day after the bombing driving together on the wrong side of the road outside one of the police were inspecting and looking around, and then when the police looked down, they drove off and got away. But someone said when they drove away, they showed them pictures of, yep, it was those two. Those are the 2 people that we saw driving on the wrong side of the road. So now they're driving around where all the police are investigating after the collar bombing stuff, all the note locations, they were driving around to all of them together. So theoretically, this will put together Barnes, Armstrong, and Rothstein, right? And also Brian Wells, who supposedly was friends with Barnes through the sex worker that he had a relationship with, because she used to buy crack from him. He used to go over there and hang out with her while she was high, and they do their things they do, you know? So now, hang on, let me move on a little bit. So Barnes started getting questioned by the FBI, and he eventually turned and said he would exchange info for a reduced sentence, because shortly after that, he'd been arrested for an unrelated drug charge, right? Selling drugs, typically you get arrested for it. So he's in jail for that, and he wants a reduced sentence, and he wants immunity, and he'll testify, and he'll say what you need to hear, right? So they said, all right. So he said Armstrong was the mastermind. He said she was the one that came up with the whole idea that she needed the money because she was going to pay him to kill her father, who was old and had a young, sweet arm charm and was spending all their life's fortune, who apparently was a rich guy, and she wanted all that fortune, right? And she was afraid he was spending all the money on this like young lady or something like that. So he wanted Barnes to kill her dad, and they needed the money, so they said let's rob a bank, right? That was their idea behind it. A fellow inmate of Armstrong now, so she's in jail, waiting trial for murdering this guy, right? Says that she confessed to killing Rodan, who's the ex-boyfriend that she shot the shotgun chest, because he was going to expose their collar bomb plot. He didn't want to in on it anymore, so she killed him, and then she basically convinced Rothstein to hide his body, and the reason that she convinced him is because he was in on it making the collar bomb, and said this guy was going to out all of us, right? So now she's saying that she killed him because all of them were going to be outed. So they talked to her, right? They pull her in for questioning, start asking about all this stuff, and they said, your cellmate saying you said this, right? Mr. Barnes saying you're the mastermind. What do you say for yourself? I didn't do it. Not me, right? So it's not me. They start questioning her more. Then guess what she says? Well, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll give you some info on the case for a reduced sentence. How's that sound if you're an investigator? If you say, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll give you some info on it. Right. So she starts talking and starts giving them some info. They haven't agreed on anything. She just starts pointing out some things in the case that they say only someone part of the case should know because it wasn't public knowledge. And she started naming off all this stuff, right? Details about some things the notes said, things like that. And she claimed at the end that Wells was in on the heist, the guy with the collar bomb around his neck, right? Which we'll get to in a minute. She says he was in on the heist with all three of them. But not with her. She said he was in on it. I wasn't a part of it. I just know it was going on. And they said, she said, I'm not saying any more. You guys give me a reduced sentence and move me to a minimum security prison, and I'll give you everything you know, and I'll testify. And they said, lady, you already gave us more than enough to indict you. We're indicting you for first-degree murder, right? And so they're saying that she basically screwed herself. It was the thing that I told you about. The guy said she's so smart, it's going to be her downfall. She thought she was being cunning and smart and like getting them hooked in. They're like, you're just giving us gold right here. You're literally indicting yourself, and then we got you dead to rights now. So she ends up being part of the main crew. They end up indicting all of them, all four of them, even Brian Wells. So the final outcome from the jury says that all four of them were in on the crime, that they're all in on together trying to rob this bank. But somewhere along the line, that Wells went from being a willing participant to being double-crossed. So there's multiple theories on this. This is where we can kind of get into some of the theories, because personally, I think all of them are in on it. That's just my opinion. I think the only one that's iffy could be Brian, so we can talk about that. But here's some of the theories to why Brian Wells would or would not be in on it. So the first one, why he would be on it. People were saying the reason that he was so calm inside there, that he didn't give a crap. I can see a couple ways. I could see it being like, I'm about to freaking die. What else do I have to do, right? I'm just going to live my best life till I die, right? I could also see it being some of the other things, people thinking that he may have not thought it was a real bomb. He might have thought that it was like, fake, until we started getting all the police in there, like, getting the bomb squad in there, freaking out, and everything like that. Maybe like, oh shit, maybe this is real. Maybe they're like double crossing me. You know what I mean? And then he starts freaking out. So he says, it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. Call my boss. You know what I mean? Another thing he said to help him that proves that he probably is part of it is he had the opportunity to tell them who mugged him, and he said it was 4 black dudes. And that was not the case, right? That's not the case of what happened at all. So why would he say 4 random people if he didn't want to implicate these other people that he was in on the heist with, right? Another thing too is
also there was no struggle.
Yeah, there was no struggle found. Again, you could also make the argument that gunpoint, right? You're going to do what I want. One of the FBI investigators think that it was from that moment that they pulled a gun on him, and he was probably expecting like, a bomb collar, right? It's going to look kind of fake, and they see this professionally made bomb collar. He's like, oh shit, that looks real. And they said, hey, buddy, put this on. And they point a gun at him and put it on him, and then he's like, screwed. And he has to follow all these steps. Mm-hmm. So remember I told you about how he was doomed from the start, right? Where it was going to take way too long to complete all the steps and the amount of time he had. So one of the FBI people was basically saying that it was never, like there was never any option of him living in the whole situation. Even if it worked out to a T, they got the vault opening, got all $250,000. The first spot at the McDonald's parking lot is where he was going to drop the money off. Can you imagine dropping $250,000 under a couple of rocks in the front of a McDonald's sign? Real. That was their plan, was to drop it off there. And then he would go start filling out all these scavenger hunt steps to get different parts of the combination to unlock his thing, right? So the plan was, according to this one of the FBI lead investigators, was they double cross him, point the gun at him, put the collar on him. Now he's got to be like, I got to get this stuff done or I'm dying, right? So he gets the stuff done, gets all the money, hides it, then goes to complete the rest of them. Police are after him. Bomb blows up no matter what. He was a loose end. He said it's first-degree murder. It's not, just something that happened on accident. They planned on this guy just not making it. Got types and loose ends, right?
Well, I also think that the people at the bank did him dirty, because I worked at a bank and the tellers had one part of the code, every single teller, and the managers had the other part of the code.
They told him that none of them had the code.
Yeah. That's smart. That's what you're told.
So there was no one in the building that could open up the vault.
Yeah.
So they said it wasn't the right time. They won't be in for another however many hours or something like that. He's like, I didn't have that much time. But regardless, some of the reasons where people think he's not part of it is one, that why would someone willingly put a collar bomb on their neck, right? Again, I think if you were part of it, right, you probably definitely didn't think that it was a collar bomb, a real collar bomb. I thought it was going to be fake, and then ended up being real.
I mean, think about a guy like that, Cats, delivery pizza, 43 years old, $5,000 is probably a lot of money to that guy. He's probably like, sure, I'll fucking take it. Yeah.
You're right. And then so in the trial, when they finally named all the people and said all 4 were involved, his family, Brian Wells' family, they were shouting, kicked out of the courtrum for yelling liar and saying he wasn't part of this like that. But the official rulings that all 4 of them were involved. And I think it was ruled as a first-degree murder that it was planned that he was going to die. He was like a loose end, essentially. There was nothing he could have done to unlock that collar bomb, essentially. So anyway, pretty crazy stuff. So just some of the other people so you know. So I think Kenneth Barnes is still in prison. He's slated to get out of prison 2027 for good behavior. He was originally sentenced to 40 years. Now he's in 20-something years in prison. 2027 is when he's supposed to get out. Marjorie Deal Armstrong, I believe, died from some type of disease in prison, which she had like so many, like she was like fucked. She was probably a terrible human being in general. She's probably killed 4 dudes already. Like she probably didn't need to reproduce anymore. Didn't need to marry anyone, that's for sure. So I don't think anyone's mad about her dying, right? And then Rothstein, who I think is probably the most interesting person in the entire thing, right? The guy who actually they think made the bomb, who had to know how to make the bomb, right? So he ended up dying from terminal cancer. I believe he was like still on trial. He wasn't even like hadn't even gone to prison yet, I believe, and he was on trial for everything. But he died from terminal cancer. And one of the other leading FBI investigators who had a theory, he thinks that guy was the mastermind. He thought he came up with the whole plan himself. It wasn't Marjorie. Everyone thought it was the Marjorie lady, but he thought it was this guy. And he's saying that he basically said like the dude won. He essentially got everyone to believe it wasn't his idea. He didn't have to do any prison time, right? He died from cancer, got to die in a hospital instead of dying in like prisons like that. And he was the one that, came up with the idea for the shotgun and the thing for making this guy look ridiculous and get caught and getting $250,000. So there's a lot of people that are like have different ideas about who the mastermind was. I personally think all 4 of them were in on it. I think Brian Wells is in on it too. That's just my opinion. I'm curious to see if you guys think any of them were not in on it.
You think the guy with the collar was in on it?
I think he was.
Oh, no.
I think they double crossed him.
I think the guy who made the bomb was in on it.
Yeah.
He has the ability to make the bomb. He's also kind of sketchy as well if he's holding a body for someone.
Yes, very sketchy.
Very sketchy.
Nothing left to lose because he thinks he's going to die anyway, which he ends up dying.
Yes.
The girl's obviously batshit.
Yeah.
Enough said. The drug dealer, she said, has ties to admitting this plan originally.
Yeah, and said Marjorie was the mastermind, the lady.
And he knows too much about the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Like he's obviously guilty. So the only question is the guy that put the collar in on it? And I'm going to say no from his history. He doesn't seem to be in on it to me. There's not enough proof. Right. I mean, just him being weird when he has a collar on his neck. You're going to act a little strange if you got the collar.
No,
on
I
your 100%
agree. I think the reason that the court system, why they and the jury said they think he's in on it, like they he's ruled as one of the 4 people that part of the conspirators. I think the main reasons they did it was one, that why would he say it was these random people that he probably saw, and then it ends up not.
What were they wearing?
Them. Huh?
What were they wearing?
He said
you
it
could
was
fool somebody.
Well, he said it was 4 black dudes. He was like very adamant that it was 4 black guys that mugged him and strapped the collar bomb on him at gunpoint. Is what he said. But
I think you could be fooled.
You probably could, but
you could be fooled with some clothes,
to be fair,
with fully faced masks.
What I want to say is he said it was 4 black dudes. There was only 3 other people that were supposed to be in on it, and one of them was a female. I think it's harder than you think to mess that up. Yeah, I mean, just from the descriptions that he gave, he said it was 4 black dudes that mugged him. But that was one of the reasons, and the other reasons is that he was linked with Kenneth Barnes, going over his house all the time, and he was openly talking about the collar bomb prank. He's saying prank. So the only thing I could see against that is it could be that Kenneth was like, "Hey, I know the perfect person we do this collar bomb heist on. Where you just pick this dude Brian, he comes over in here and is with his girlfriend,
tricks him because he's a little weird."
Yeah, it could be one of those.
Yeah,
I seriously think that he was in on it, but they double crossed. I think they said, "Hey, we're gonna make a bunch of money off this. You're gonna wear this fake collar bomb, and we're gonna rob this money, and we're gonna get out scot free, and you're gonna get arrested. Not arrested. You're gonna get saved by the police from a fake bomb." And then they're gonna be like, "Oh, it was a dud, right? These guys duped you, and they got you to rob this money for them, right?" But in all reality, he was a loose end. They're like, "We're gonna blow up and kill him. We don't care about him." Right?
It's kind of like super bad, and they make that kid go and buy alcohol.
Buy all the alcohol for him. So they basically he was their martyr.
McLovin.
That's my.
He's the McLovin of the operation.
That's my idea. Is that they double crossed him.
Dude, you're just gonna go in. You're gonna. I got you this ID. Says you're 25. You're gonna go buy the beer.
McLovin. But yeah, that's my idea. Is that they duped him essentially.
I can see that.
They had him in on the prank, but they were screwing him over.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they duped him. But I think you did a really good job of describing it, but the Netflix documentary goes more into detail about the bodies in the fridge, which makes me think that the engineer guy was like the mastermind who
that's what I'm telling you. I could have gone on for over an hour of all the details. There's so many details of this case. It was I think it's like the single most studied conspiracy in case in the entire state of Pennsylvania ever. Yeah. They just baffle people that no one really knows the full truth of what happened. I think it's pretty clear some of the players involved, but no one knows the full truth. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that dude is freaking weird. They're all weirdos, right? They're all hoarders who killed people, who put bodies in fridges and wanted to put them in ice grinders. And sold crack to, they did all this crazy stuff. So, and it was like they literally, the only reason they were robbing a bank was so they could pay someone to kill someone. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we got to get a lot of money to kill this person. Let's go rob a bank. Right? So, and the reason that she didn't kill the person herself because it was her dad, then she would automatically be a suspect.
Yeah.
I think it looks bad when you have 4 husbands die and your dad dies all in the span of however many years, right?
I think if you want to rob a bank in today's world, you're just an idiot.
You don't think you can get away with it?
No, not with the amount of cameras.
It's a lot harder.
I'd be curious when's the last robbed bank that someone got away with.
GPS packs.
It can't be that long ago.
That's something else we can go into at some point. One of these conspiracies is the Pink Panthers, right? That's something that I've looked a lot into.
We'll go into it.
We can go into it, but they're jewel thieves, and they are still active today. Like they're robbing stuff in 2019 in Europe and getting away with it. Like robbing
yeah, but they don't got guns in Europe.
Hundreds of but they're robbing hundreds.
That's the most ignorant statement you probably ever made.
They don't got guns,
Jake. Hundreds of millions of dollars of diamonds per year.
What are they gonna stop you with?
Guns. They have guns in Europe.
They
Police do.
Guns. No.
Yes, they do.
Jesus. All right, guys, let's end this. Jake, get us out of here.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week on Gridiron Garage. What is this, episode 91?
81.
81. And we're out of here.